Hi y'all, Robert Hefner here with an impromptu video, but this is actually my first video that I'm doing recording myself. Very awkward. Still using low budget tech and still haven't really put together the home office here. But um, I wanted to record this impromptu video today because I'm tired of the complete lack of education around something that is frankly quite boring, and that topic is subsidies. So the Biden administration yesterday announced an executive order on fossil fuels. The order directs federal agencies to eliminate all fossil fuel subsidies. I'm here to tell you today something you've probably never heard before this video. The oil and gas business, which this order is targeting, does not receive a single subsidy. Doesn't exist. So good job, Biden. You're doing a lot of good work there. Problem is, most are unable to describe what a subsidy actually is, yet they desire the companies that receive them to be found out, shamed, and even forced to shut down. As defined, a subsidy is a sum of money granted by the federal government to assist a business so that the price of a commodity or service may remain low or competitive. So in 2015, Elon Musk felt the subsidians' wrath when he and his companies received $4.9 billion in direct government subsidies from the federal government. These were actual dollars paid by the United States federal government to Elon Musk and his companies. And Elon Musk, instead of turning around and trying to explain to people why he needed these subsidies or why it was good for his company, he was a bit daft. And he turned around and instead attacked the oil and gas industry. And I'm going to quote this from his tweet. "If I cared about subsidies, I would have entered the oil and gas business." And then he literally linked on Twitter to a thoroughly debunked IMF report citing that $5.2 trillion was paid to the oil and gas industry worldwide in 2013. For the record, what the IMF study defines as a subsidy is not a subsidy at all. And they literally openly admit it in their own report on page 7. So on this particular point, before I move forward to some of these subsidies, I'm going to quote Harold Hamm, the CEO and founder of Continental Resources. He said this when somebody asked him about subsidies. "Now, my recollection of what a subsidy means is when you are given money to do something. I guess when I drilled 17 dry holes in a row, I missed that pay window. No one sent me a check." And that's the reality of the situation, everyone. No one in the oil and gas business receives a single subsidy. So what is this old man rambling on about? What he's mostly talking about are tax deductions, not tax subsidies, tax deductions. Very different. Historically, and this is a little bit ironic, liberals love these deductions just as much as conservatives do. One of those deductions is $1 billion annually in the United States is spent for the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That's not money that goes to Continental Resources. That's money that literally the federal government uses that's designed to protect the United States from geopolitical risks associated with disruption in the markets, as happened in the early 1970s or quite recently. Number 2, percentage depletion. This allows small companies, not big ones, to depreciate their assets. It's that simple. Everyone in business that owns their own company understands straight line depreciation. You amortize your assets, depreciate them over a 5-year window if you're doing 5-year straight line. Now, with this particular tax deduction, not subsidy, for percentage depletion, big oil, literally Exxon, Shell, BP, etc., they are already exempted from this tax deduction through Congress, which targeted them unfairly, in my opinion, in 1975. So literally, if they remove that, it's not going to hurt big oil. It's going to hurt millions of mineral and royalty owners across this country. Intangible drilling costs, number 3. This is part of the tax code that manufacturing and technology use the same way traditional fuel companies do. In oil and gas, it's called intangible drilling costs. The same deduction for manufacturing or productive industries as cost of goods sold. Again, big oil has already been exempted from being able to use this portion of the tax code via punitive laws set by Congress in both 1986 and 1992. So, what's the goal here, Biden? Number 4, manufacturer's tax deduction, or more commonly known as Section 199. This encourages manufacturing companies to relocate back to the United States from abroad. That's it. Three more. Okay, that's it. Three more that we're going to talk. Marginal well tax credit. This tax credit goes to people whose wells are producing less than 10 barrels of oil per day. Without it, hundreds of thousands of wells will become uneconomic, and those wells will become plugging liabilities. Ironically, the Biden administration has already stated it doesn't want any more plugging liability in this country. The farm fuel tax exemption. Quite literally, this goes to American farmers. $1 billion a year in the United States goes to these deductions to help farmers afford fuel and give you the food that you and I consume. The last one, I don't know how they're going to eliminate this. It's called LIHEAP. That stands for Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. $570 million per year goes to helping people who literally can't afford to heat their homes. The reality is that traditional fuel companies receive the same kind of tax treatments that every other manufacturing or extractive industry already receives. Do we really want to hurt our farmers and low-income Americans? The more you dig in, the more ridiculous Biden's order becomes. So I'm going to stop here, but if you care to read more and you want to get more detailed analysis, including direct admission by the IMF that they are not describing subsidies, you can head to my website, www.Hefner.Energy.com. Have a good one.